Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got PeeWee.
And they're all from, hey, you can't pimp the patch. You can't wear it. Yeah, I was a Hell's Angel. I'm going to wear my patch. I didn't give a shit. I wore it. Or I wore T-shirts, you know?
Yeah.
But usually I wore T-shirts. But it had the big logo on it. And people were coming up to me as I was standing there as his bodyguard going, can I get a picture with you? So James even turned to me and says, man, dude, you get more pictures than me. But we had a good time, bro. So we did 7 shows, and I mean it was one day after next, man. Next day we're on a plane going somewhere else, San Antonio, Grand Rapids, Oregon, Seattle, Washington. Oh, bro, I'm trying to think of all of them. Anyway, it was out of the 8. We had one more to go to, and I forget where it was, but we did 7 of them. He came up to me and he handed me the envelope and he goes, here, I'm just going to pay your money now, PeeWee. And I look at her and I go, well, there's $8,000 in here. You just wait till we do the next show. He goes, I'm not doing the last show, but I'm paying you for it. And I said, why? And it was pretty sad. You know, he said, my son's real sick. He had a 3-year-old, I think it was, back in New York. So he goes, I got to cut this short. I got to get home, man. I make sure you get home. So I got on one flight to go back to Vegas. He got another flight to go back to New York. So, you know, I mean, we became like we bonded a little friendship there, you know, and I like the guy. I still do like him. I hit him up and I said, hey, how's your baby doing? And is he okay and stuff? And he said, no, he passed, you know, and it was pretty sad. You know, he lost his kid. And I said, I'm so sorry, James, to hear that. I said, if you're ever in Vegas, man, just call me and we'll go out to eat. He goes, oh, come in. I'll take you and your wife out to eat and we'll get together, PeeWee. And I said, all right. And really, that was the last thing we ever said to each other. I never heard from him again. But I have looked him up on the internet. Shit, he's wrote about 50 books already. But he'll always, like he said, he'll always be famous for getting kicked off Oprah Winfrey show. Not many do that. See somebody go, get out of here. Unless it was like Jerry Springer or something.
Yeah, and you get famous for it.
Yeah, right.
Well, nowadays you could the girl like that Hawk 2 girl, she gets famous over spitting on something, right?
Right. Can you believe that?
Wild. Do you miss Vegas?
No, I really don't. It's changed so much, Billy, from the time I got there. When I used to go there all the time, this is funny. I told this friend of mine from Milwaukee that I grew up. I've known him like more than half his life. He was with me one time in Vegas, and this is what I said to him. And I just talked to him about 3 weeks ago. And he goes, you know one thing about you, Chuck? He goes, you say something and you do it. And that's the kind of man I am. I said to him one time, standing down on Fremont Street, man, I'm going to become a Hell's Angel, man, and I'm going to come here and start a charter. I swear to God. I said that back in the late 80s. And because I always, I never even knew a Hell's Angel at the time, but, I was in my mind, I was like, Dad, those guys are cool. That's what I want to be.
But they had a charter in Arizona, right? Just not in Vegas?
Not in Vegas. And they had one up in Reno. But those guys really didn't go or represent anything,
You had a little run-in with Jay Dobbins, right?
Yeah, a very short one.
So a lot of people, there's a bunch of controversy whether he got his patch or he didn't get his patch.
He never got his patch, bro. He even admits it on the one show that he did on A&E. He said, I never made member. See, a member left his patch hanging on a hook in a clubhouse, which I don't know why he would do that, but they must have felt comfortable and he left it hanging there. And when Jay Dobbins and his butt buddy that was with him doing the same undercover work, I guess when those two were done having sex with each other, they threw on, they threw that patch on, make it look like he was in a club, but he was never in a club.
That fake Mongol killing, right?
Yeah. Listen, bro, I had a guy in my charter do that same thing to me.
What happened?
My vice president, George, he did the same thing. came over with a tarp rolled up in the back of a truck, all bloodied up, saying, "Hey, that's one of those guys, you know." Supposedly was a Mongol. I didn't look, bro. It was 2:00 in the morning. I walked out and I go, "What the fuck are you bringing that to my house for?" And you know, he was like, "Oh, hey man, I did this dirty deed." And I said, "Get the fuck out of here, man. Well, I'm going to take him." I said, "Don't tell me. I don't want to know anything about it." And personally, honestly, Billy, I never believed them. I never believed that could have been a dog wrapped up in that tarp. I don't give a shit. There was blood on it. Could have been pig's blood, whatever. I didn't believe none of it because I went past the house where that guy supposedly lived, and I sat down the street and watched it. And all them guys came out drinking beers, eating hot dogs, cooking on the grill. Does that seem right to you after one of the guys is missing?
No.
Nah.
They're going to be on high alert. Things are going to be.
Bingo.
Yeah.
See, you think the same way I do. So when I watched that, I already knew it was bullshit. You know.
You think they were working with law enforcement trying to set you up? The guy that brung the tarp.
Oh yeah, he was the whole time.
You found out?
Yeah, I had a private investigator tell me after the wedding chapel fight. My lawyer called this guy in to interview all the witnesses. When he was sitting there, he said, "You know, you got a full patch member." I already quit. I was already out of the club. He said, "You know, you got a full patch member in the club." He was telling everything. He was wearing wires at the meetings, everything. Like, are you kidding me? He goes, "No, his job through intelligence that I've heard, because he was a Metro cop for 25 years, the private investigator." Yeah. So he still knew a lot of the cops, you know. He said that George's job was to get rid of me, discredit me, make me look bad, and never to come back to the club again, which he pretty much did. I mean, did his job, you know, for being a rat.
Going around spreading rumors about you and shit.
Oh, right? Yeah, he told me, he goes, "Bro, I go all the OMs and I speak up for you." He was going all the OMs talking dirt, saying shit. He actually convinced this is what puppets most of the club guys are. They're such puppets that you can play the strings with those guys so easy, you know. "Hey, that guy's a rat." "Oh, shit, look out." No paperwork, no nothing. So George goes around saying, "Hey, listen to this CD we got on PeeWee with me talking to the cop." And I was just fucking basically rapid to get my way out of it until he told me it was all on video. But I didn't give up no names. I didn't give up no situations or what anything was doing. And George is telling him, listen to him, man. Ratting on these people. And when he played it for me, I had two other members that never heard it sitting next to me. And when it was over, they looked at me and said, "I didn't hear you rat on nobody." I said, "Either did I." So I said, "What the fuck's the point of this CD?" "Oh, come on, man. You know what you said." "Yeah, I just heard it." Nowhere in that video or in that recording did I say anybody's name or what anybody did. The shit that people are hearing about is stuff I try to say as a upscale leader to clear things up, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, we had this kid in the club. I told you about him before. The kid Brandon. The guy was a pussy anyway, you know what I mean? But when he was with us, you know, he got all puffy and stuck his chest out, and he liked messing with the green guys, you know, the Vagos.
Yeah.
And they didn't like him, he didn't like them, but I mean, he was nothing. They could have kicked his ass anytime they wanted, probably. He was just a young punk acting out like, you know, he was some big tough guy. And I didn't say all that shit to the cops. All I said to them was, they're like, "Well, we didn't know you guys were warring with the green guys, the Vagos." I said, "We're not." I said, "You guys imagine all this stuff. You make, you know, more shit up as it goes along, and you make it worse than what it is. All that is a kid pumped up because he's proud of who he is. And, you know, those other guys pump up, they're proud of who they are. But that's all it is. We're not at war with them. Nobody's fighting. Nobody's shooting bullets. None of that shit. Well, now they are. You know what I mean? Now
So
they are.
that
Not
another,
back when I was
yeah, another thing I wanted to talk to you about is there was a shooting with some Hells Angels shooting at some Vagos, and they used your picture for the news article. Here, I'll play the video and you can check it out.
Confrontation between Hells Angels bikers and
Bam, that's you right there.
Yeah, that's at the drag strip. We know the shooting didn't happen there. You know?
So for them to use this video, how wild is that for them to use this picture?
Well, why not? I was the most popular guy there. That's why they were using it. I mean, Rick, the guy who shot him, Rick who? You know?
Crazy. Look, watch this.
They're shooting. They're shooting.
newly released cell phone footage shows part of the confrontation between Hells Angels bikers and rival Vagos Motorcycle Club last month on the Henderson Highway. A witness in a car behind the Vagos bikers pulled out her cell phone and began recording when she realized a smaller group of Hells Angels members speed past her.
Hells Angels just shot at Vagos. There's 2 down.
In a 911 phone call, the witness told police dispatchers she had seen the Hells Angels stopped in an emergency exit lane moments earlier, appearing to be waiting for the Vagos motorcyclists to drive by. Identified members of the Hells Angels from the shooting were later seen on security camera footage at a Henderson Harley-Davidson location, parking bikes in a garage after the shooting. Those members identified as 46-year-old Stephen Allo and 66-year-old Richard DeVries. Prosecutors say the gunfire may have been an act of retaliation for a San Bernardino, California shooting that left a Hells Angel member dead, although a Vagos member challenged the claim during the grand jury hearing. 3 men have been indicted on the Henderson shooting on 36 felony counts on conspiracy to commit murder and attempted murder, among other charges. For the Las Vegas Review-Journal, I'm James Schaefer.
So what do you think of that? Do you know them members?
Yeah, that Rick guy, Rick, the 66-year-old guy
with the white hair.
I brought him from Massachusetts to Las Vegas. He lived with me. Yeah, he had nowhere to go. I gave him a place to live. He lived with me. I took care of that dude, man. And then actually, when I split the charters, when I went to Sin City, I started Sin City from Vegas. I wanted actually, there was nobody else I wanted to take with me, but I was going to take Rick on my side, but I thought it was better if I left Rick there because he could become the president and take over because they had such morons in that charter that nobody else could really lead them. But obviously Rick can't even fucking lead them, That was the most stupidest shit I've ever. Right there, bro. They should be wearing Sons of Anarchy jackets, really.